Hi guys, this is Dormouse03. This is The Evil Within, Akumu difficulty, continuing chapter 11. So we just got through what I feel like is the hardest part of this level, and this right here is not particularly pleasant, but as long as you've saved up bullets to be able to deal with these enemies, you'll be fine. If you haven't saved up bullets, you're going to be really hurting right here, because each one of these guys takes about one shot if you get them in the right at the right time, and they will fall off. And so there's probably about 15, yeah, there's probably about 15 guys, I would say, on this part. I don't know if that does anything, people. I just put it up there just to hopefully stem the tide, because there are a lot of enemies that come up at that point. If you get that barrel as it starts to roll down, that will be a very good thing. And that guy up there, he just did not want to go down, and I should have been trying to shoot him in the hand, but whatever works, people. Whatever works. Like, using a sniper shot right there, or an explosive bolt or something on that one guy with the bottle that I shot about 5 or 6 times and wasted a bunch of handgun ammunition on, it was not a great use of resources, but, you know, we got through it, and that section, it's just not worth doing over. Once you get through it, you're through it, and it's not worth doing again. So that section is a prime example of why throughout this guide I've been telling you to save up your ammunition, to try not to use as much as you can't have to. That's 2 magnum bullets, and here's a map fragment. So make sure you pick up all that stuff. But that is just a really fantastic example of why you should be upgrading your clip capacity to hold more ammunition, to be able to stock up more ammo for sections like that, where you have to have ammo. Like, if you did not have ammo, I don't know how you would do that. I don't know if it would be possible. If you didn't have enough bullets or trap parts or something to be able to have some kind of ammunition, enough to take out at least a certain number of those people, I don't think it would be possible to make it through that section. And so you would have to reload this chapter or something, reload a previous save, and try to do better with ammo conservation to get to that part.
Somehow I can see that.
So there you have it. Try to make sure you have stuff. Because, I mean, you can't just stand in that box, and there's no ammo in there. Like, there was ammunition in that little cage on survival difficulty, but there's not on this. There's nothing. There's no trap parts, there's no pistol bullets, there's just no nothing. So you really need to have saved up your ammo for that part. And that's just the end of the story. So we're moving swiftly through this level. There's going to be just a really quick moment where I go inside this asylum, because I think all I do here is make a save and pick up some of the collectibles. And so the next section is going to be some more swimming with some of the fish monster people, and it's a little bit tricky because there aren't as many bodies to shoot as there were on the previous difficulties, and so you have to be a little bit creative with how you get through this next section. And it can be irritating. So I really hated this part when I played through it to begin with. I must have died, I would say, a dozen times at least on this section on my first run of this game on survival. I still don't know what that mode is called. I keep getting confused. But the standard difficulty mode, I died a ton. I just couldn't I couldn't wrap my mind around where you were supposed to go. Like, I understood that you needed to use the bodies to lure the fish things away and that kind of thing, but for whatever reason, the neurons in my brain were not firing correctly, and I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it very well at all. And like this time, it just flowed, right? It didn't seem bad because I had done that section so much on the earlier difficulty that this time, even on this difficulty and even without the bodies and things to be able to use, it made so much more sense to me. And I think that that's a common feature of a lot of these, not just this game, but a lot of games. You know, if there's an area where you struggle on the standard difficulty, that's not necessarily the same place that you struggle on the hard difficulty, because you've already struggled, right? And that's not true of all of them. Sometimes there are places where you struggle on, you know, the regular difficulty, and you struggle there again on the hard difficulty just because they're hard sections, or they have, you know, BS associated with them. But, you know, a lot of times, like, if you put in your dues of dying a bunch of times and, like, having to really figure out what it's wanting you to do in a section on the regular difficulty, oftentimes that experience translates very well to the hard difficulty, because it's a section where, you know, if you had an easy time with it, you just blew past it and didn't really understand what you were doing. And it's those spots that you tend to struggle a little bit more on the harder difficulties, because you had such an easy time with it your first time through that you never really, it doesn't stick in your memory as to what the pattern is that you need to do. So, in any case, we got through that first gate. You just want to make sure that you move through there. You know, you don't start swimming toward the gate until it starts beeping and to go up. So, this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this guy so he doesn't shoot my platforms. And I didn't bother sniping the guys that were outside of the door where Kidman is. That's just a personal choice, because I'd rather spend a little bit more ammo killing them when I get through to the door up there than to waste 4 sniper shots on them here, because to me sniper rifle ammunition is more precious. So with this fish right here, I'm just gonna kind of wait and kind of see where it is, and you see that there's no body to shoot like you did before. And I don't know if this works, but I made it through. So I use a flashbolt there, and I don't know if that incapacitated the fish or not, but I sure did make it. So if you're struggling with this section, maybe use a flashbolt. I don't know. It seemed that may have just been a placebo effect, but it seemed like it worked to me. So as soon as this gate starts beeping, hit that body, jump to this platform, jump to make your swim shorter to this door, and get through it. That was just a random idea that I had. I was like, I wonder if I can flashbolt these guys. And like I said, it may have completely done nothing at all, and I just got very lucky with, like, moving at the right time when the fish was at the right spot. But it seems like I should have gotten eaten there, and I didn't. So maybe a flashbolt is the answer. So the checkpoint there is really strange. If you respawn from it, you respawn after all that debris is knocked down and you miss getting your match, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. So I'm going to toss a couple of grenades at the door there, and don't jump through that window because there's a bear trap on the other side of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to kind of wait, and I'm going to try to line up these guys coming through this corridor here. And then I have a failed match, which is awesome. But we got everybody into a pile here, and it only burns one body. So that's awesome. This person he didn't want to die. He really just did not want to die. But that's all of those guys, and you'll have a few more in there to kill like I did if you didn't kill them when you were outside, which you can do. You know, if you end up with more sniper shots and you don't really like the sniper rifle and you're not going to use it very much, which is, I think, insanity because the sniper rifle is super useful and it does a lot of damage. But if you end up with a crap load of bullets for it and want to choose to use 4 of those there to make your life a little bit easier in this room, go for it. I feel like you can take them out just fine with some grenades, some shotgun shells, and a couple of matches. So it's just my preference. When you walk through this door, or walk to the door, walk near the door, you'll get the checkpoint there. And I believe what I'm going to try to do is let her kill all of these enemies that come into this room. So it gives you this mandatory animation here where you're not in control, you just sort of run over, and she shows how badass she is with her shooting. And she kills all of these people really fast on the easy difficulty, and it takes her friggin' forever and a day to kill them on this difficulty. It's like she just doesn't want to fire her gun. But if you sort of run around and let her shoot these guys, she will. Got the trap parts there, and there's another assault rifle enemy right around this corner outside, so I'm gonna wait for him to stop firing. I'm gonna shoot a flashbolt, and I'm gonna go stab him. And so that is that little sequence down. Like I said, these sections are nowhere near as tricky, in my opinion, as that one section earlier where it's got the garage door of never-ending clown car enemies. So if you can make it through that and you have enough bullets to get through the section where you're on the little cable car, the rest of this chapter should be fine for you. There was your next statue in the elevator there, and we're gonna head on toward the last little segments of this chapter here. So, thinking about what's coming up in the chapters to come, chapter 12 I actually found to be quite tricky because it took me a while to get down the patterns and to get a good clean run on the boss on chapter 12, and just, I don't know, every section of that just felt like such a turd. I don't know, chapter 12 I really hated, and then 13, 14, and 15 all went very smoothly for me. So after, I would say this level is frustrating just because it's so long and it has all those gun enemies, and I just don't particularly like this level. Although, like I said in my previous video, I do like the aesthetics here. I like the environment. I like the layout. I just don't like the enemies. And I don't like, it just feels like it's a little too long, in my opinion. But after you get through chapter 11, I would say if you can make it through chapter 12, you should be golden through the end of the game. Chapter 12, I thought, was the most difficult of the end levels. And that's probably not the opinion of many people, but that was just my personal experience. So, And maybe that means that I have some really good strategies or for the later levels, and it probably has something to do with the fact that I've conserved ammo and stuff throughout the guide. I've been trying to pick up as much stuff as possible. I've gotten all the keys, and I am well and truly stocked for ammo and trap parts and all that good stuff. And so I feel like that really makes a huge difference in those final levels, because if you don't have the appropriate resources, or if you don't have the ideal resources, then you're going to probably find it a lot different. So in any case, we have made it to the next section here, and in this section there are these little spiky mannequin things, and I would say try to crawl under and go through this area as much as you can, because I don't think they can get under these little things because they have the mannequins on them. So they probably can't get you while you're, underneath one of these things. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but instead of in the other difficulties, there were 2 traumas in this area, and now it's these stupid little spiky circular saw robot vacuum cleaners, and you kind of just have to do what I did. You kind of just have to watch and wait for what seems like an opportune time, and then cross your fingers and clench your butt cheeks and try to make it through, because that's really all the strategy that I can give you for that. So once we move over here, though, it's business as usual. There are 2 of these mask guys that I don't know what these masks are. They look a little bit like Michael Myers from Halloween without the hair. They're bald Michael Myers clones. So their pattern should be very similar to what it was on Survivor. The one sort of patrols over to the right, the other kind of patrols over here to the left. And okay, so there he is. You want to wait until he's turned a corner or gone past a corner, and then stab him in the back of the head. I guess those are masks that they're wearing, and not just the way their faces look. I think they're masks. So the second one, we can shank in exactly the same fashion. And then there's a key card, and on the other difficulties, there were 2 enemies that were eating the body where the keys are. But on this level, or on this difficulty, it seems like they aren't there. So I was prepared to try to use some bottles and run away and try to divide and conquer them, but as it turned out, they aren't there. So you can just go in there and pick up the key card and not have to worry about them. By the way, this entire place is filled with gas, and so you can't fire your weapons, or else it will set off the gas. I believe you can still fire your crossbow bolts, as long as it's not the explosive ones or the flammable ones, or probably the shock ones. Those all would probably light things up. But if it's your regular harpoons, so the harpoons that are not upgraded to have the fire damage, or the flash bolts, those bolts should be okay. So there are some guys that appear, and I think it's random. Like, I think sometimes those guys appear and sometimes they don't. But what I did was I just tried to use this little maze of corridors to my advantage and kind of just run back, lure them all away from the door, and run to it. But I believe you could probably also use a flash bolt there and flash them and get around. Someone if you try it that way, just let us know if that works.
Joseph.
But you can definitely just sort of skirt around them and kind of use the level design to your advantage there. So we are here at the end of this chapter, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 11, one of the longest and most irritating chapters, is almost finished. You just have to not get blown up in this trap up here, and you'll be good. So when you're going to loot this area, you just be really careful going into this place right here, because there are 3. Why there are 3? I don't know. But there are 3 of these little explosive traps. So just be careful in here and make sure that you disarm those, and you should be good. It gives you a little bit of a restock of ammunition, because this chapter was heavy on the use of ammo. You can't really, I don't think you can really get by. This is not one of the chapters where you can get away with not using ammo like some of the other chapters. Just, you know, make your life easier. Use some of the ammunition that you've stocked up and you'll be good. So we're gonna come into this asylum and grab a couple more collectibles. There's gonna be one more statue that we're gonna get for our last key of this level in just a second, and we're gonna be making our way to chapter 12. And so, like I was saying, guys, chapter 12 was, for me personally, the most difficult chapter here of the back third of the game, I guess. And so I feel like, you know, once you get through that, you will be pretty good to go toward the end. Also, like I said before, especially if you have been saving up ammunition. And I feel like a naggy mother, you know, that I just keep harping on this idea of needing to save things. But it makes such a big difference. It really makes such a big difference. Like, chapter 15, I thought was going to be hell, because those fights are hard. But I had so much ammo and stuff saved up, I could use the good stuff, right? So I could use a bunch of freeze bolts and shock bolts and magnum ammo and sniper bullets and all that stuff. And it made it so much easier. So I feel like I'm nagging you all, but I also feel like it can't be overstated, the importance of being able to carry things and to start saving from the beginning. So there was our final key for this level, and we're gonna move out and reconnect with Joseph and Kidman and head on to chapter 12. So that is the end of chapter 11, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope that it was helpful, and I will see you guys in chapter 12.